Hey guys, welcome back to the My Opinion podcast. I'm your host, Maya Roffler, and today I have another really cool entrepreneur with me. I have Jackie Jansky with me. She is the founder of Finder Binder, and we're going to talk about her incredible company today. And we're also going to talk about maybe a business challenge or two that she's going through, and I'll give some opinions on them. So, Jackie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I loved reading about your company and I think it's really unique and cool what you guys do. So tell us a little bit about Finder Binder, what it is, how you came up with this. I know you're a mama, so that's definitely
Mhm.
one of the reasons you came up with it, but tell us your story.
So, Finder Binder is a binder that helps parents at mealtime. And it's full of food cards, and each of the food cards have pictures. It has the name of the food and it has a color on the background. And the kid will come in and take the menu page, which has all of those colors, and match it up. So they end up getting one thing from each food group on their plate. So it's giving children the power and the ability to be able to choose their own meals,
Mhm.
but it's also balanced. So they're not going to just choose like spaghetti and rice and crackers. They have one thing from each food group on their plate.
So you're a mom, right? So this is what made you think about this. So when did you have your like aha moment? You were like, this is something that I should create. Did you find that you were just having difficulty at mealtime? What was the challenge you were trying to overcome?
So my twins were born really premature. They were in the NICU for 70 days and they came home on oxygen monitors and they had a lot of feeding difficulties. They aspirated when they would have any liquid, so I would have to thicken everything. When we finally moved into like actually eating food, I feel like that really the sensory issues and everything really kind of bothered them with the food. So it was really difficult because they were very underweight and they didn't eat, so I was struggling with that because
Mhm.
trying to feed them 3 times a day when they don't wanna eat and they have to, it's really a difficult situation to be in, especially with 2 of them. So, we went to the nutritionist, we went to the feeding therapist, we went to speech therapist, we went to occupational therapist, gastroenterologist, we were everywhere, and all the things kind of helped, but nothing fully, worked for us. So I kind of took all the things that worked from each little thing and I put it all together and I came up with Binder Binder.
That's a lot. That's a very intense story. And how old are your twins now?
They're 8.
Okay. So yeah, so this has been kind of a journey that you've gone on with them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So tell us about like the day or the night or whenever you kind of created Finder Binder. So you took all of these resources, you went to nutritionists and all these medical
Mhm.
professionals and people that were trying to help you, but like took all these different things from them, but did you just like sit down and start cutting out pictures? Like what was the process to create this?
I just kind of I don't know, I just had it in my head and I was like, "That why doesn't that exist?" Because I was like looking for things online and it's like they had a plate of food where you can choose what you want to eat, but I'm like, "Well, if I give this to them, they're going to not choose like a balanced meal, so that's not helpful." So I was like trying to think of ways that I could make them choose the balanced meal by themselves so that they'll be happy about it. And
So then
color
how did you
coding is
create it? Yeah, so then how did you create it? What was the next step in that process?
I went on Canva. I just
Good
put a
old
whole bunch
Canva.
Yep,
Yep.
put a whole bunch of pictures and colors and everything, printed it, laminated it, and tried it the next day.
So what happened when you tried it? When you put it in front of your kids? Like, how did you
They
explain it to them?
I said, "This is a matching game. You could pick your own dinner, or I can make you your dinner. What would you like to do?" And they said, "Oh, we wanna pick." They were super excited because they like that control, or illusion of control.
Right.
Because I decide what goes into the binder. So I don't put anything in that I don't have on hand or anything. So it's just whatever I have, I put into the binder. And it was a game for them. They really liked it. And then they got excited when they saw it come to life, like at dinner time, like their menu. and then on their plate. And it was like they were looking at the broccoli card and seeing the broccoli on their plate and kind of just making those connections, I guess. It was one of the first times that we didn't have any food being thrown at the dinner table, so it was
Wow.
great. I was like,
So
"I
yeah,
might be onto something."
I think you are onto something for sure, which is why when I read about your product, I was like, this is really cool. I want to understand how it works
Mhm,
and talk through how we can help you with your business challenge too. And you said something really important there too, Jackie. You never put anything in there that you don't have. So tell us about the product now. So you made it, you solved your solution at home.
mhm.
And then you were like, I think I'm onto something. So now you create it. And of course, people can purchase this and use this with their kids. So walk us through what the product looks like now. So when you purchase it, like, what does it look like?
So there's 5 different food groups, and each food group has 2 pages in the binder, and each page will have 4 cards on it, 4 food cards. So there's about 8 choices for each food group in the standard binder right now, and I just kinda put, like, basic stuff in there, and you just pull out the ones like, sometimes I'll just do, like, 4 options if I only have 4 options, or sometimes if they, like, pick chicken nuggets every single day for, like, 2 weeks, I'll take the chicken nuggets out, and I'll be like, "Try something new." Yeah, I have the control over it that way, but
Yeah.
they feel like they're doing it.
So what are the just so everybody knows that's listening to this, what are the food groups that you focused on, the 5 food groups that you have available right now?
So it's fruit, vegetable, dairy, grain, and protein.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, they can create a balanced meal with that. And then what if somebody is it customizable? Like how would people do that if there's certain things they want to include? Or if kids like I was a kid with allergies and I still have them to this
Mhm.
day. I can't do nuts, I can't do gluten. I'm that nightmare child. So this would have been a good thing for me potentially, right? But can you customize it? How does that work?
Yeah, my kids actually, when we were going through all this, had a milk and egg allergy also. So,
Brutal.
yeah, I mean, it was tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's definitely customizable. I'm looking into, like, selling different packs of cards to or I also have blank cards that I can include, so you can kind of write down whatever, special thing that your family has on hand.
So yeah, it is customizable and then you're kind of looking to move in the direction of more customization. I mean, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit about how how when did you found the business? Like how long have you been around, Jackie?
Well, after we did this, we went to their next GI appointment and they were asking how their feeding's going. And I'm like, it's actually going pretty good. And I showed them, we went to Boston Children's Hospital. I showed them and they were like, that is amazing. You need to sell that. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I still have 2 little children at home. I don't have the time for that. But after my 3rd child was born, we kind of just were in the weeds for a little bit, and then once he went off to preschool, I felt myself having some time, and I was like, "I'm gonna start this." And then quickly realizing that the 3 hours a couple times a week that he was in preschool was not enough to start a business. So then I kind of pushed it again for another year, and then this year he's actually in kindergarten full time. So now I'm really trying to, like, start it up, I guess. So, like, it's been around for a while, but I haven't really been too consistent with it.
Well, yeah, if your older kiddos are 8, then you've had this in the making for like 7, 8 years then, right? Like
Mhm.
it's been a
Yeah,
long labor of love. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. So take us to now and where you are now. So you guys have your site, which is My Finder Binder, and we'll
yep.
talk about that at the end as well. But you guys can find her product there. And how has it been going for the folks that have found you? What's the feedback that you've been getting?
Everyone says that it's really been amazing how their kids just react to it, and it was kind of like I think everyone has a different use for it. So for families, one family has a child with autism, has very hard time around control.
I was going to
So
ask you
being
about this
Yep.
specifically. Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. Okay.
So being able to choose is just like making mealtime just so much smoother.
Mhm.
Another family has a child who has like GI issues and very picky about that. and, like, will not eat vegetables at all, but they're working to keep it on the plate at least, and when it's on the plate, it's consistently on the plate, they eventually start to, like, poke at it and then, like, I don't know, maybe just, like, touch it, and then, like, that's how you kinda get there, like, it's a very slow process sometimes, but, yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of different angles that people have really been using it, and it's been working great.
Yeah, because for me listening to this as someone who is, the cool aunt, as I told you before we started recording, I'm the cool aunt. I see a lot of this with my nephews, right? And so I see this being used. I'm so glad you brought up kids with autism on somewhere on the spectrum or when they have a texture thing and they can't eat certain textures. Like,
Yeah,
so getting them kind of that resource so they can have some illusion of autonomy over what they're eating, right?
yes,
That's kind of what this
yes.
is. I think that's really awesome. And I see it being used for that. I see it being used for really picky eaters. I see it being used for moms who have multiple children like you, right? Like you are really
Yep,
the use case for this. Um, like you said, where you just need help, right? So it's like you don't it's one less decision out of mom's day where, you have control and they have control. And so it's just done and taken care of. I also see this, like you said, with kids who have allergies, GI issues, things like that. I connected instantly with that. I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of me, because sometimes my mom would have to make me something a little bit different than,
mhm.
what everyone else was eating. And that was, challenging, I'm sure, for her. So I love this. I love what you're doing. So in 2026, which is where we are now, wild, you're kind of ready to hit the ground running because you have a little more autonomy over your time during the day and you really want to bring this to market.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So where are you selling right now? Tell me about that, Jackie, and then we're going to talk about your whatever challenge you want to talk about today.
So I'm
Just on your
selling
website?
through my website, and
Okay.
then I have done, like, trade shows and stuff, but
So let's okay, so your website only, your e-commerce only. So most people are. That's totally cool. So the challenge you're having right now is one, you're new, right? You're new to the market. So that's one thing. Tell me the main challenge you want to focus on today. And then of course I'll give my opinion on it.
I'm looking to figure out how to kind of get that traction going. How to I mean, I'm having, like, a sale here or a sale there, but I don't know why it's not starting to build.
Totally. I mean, you're a new business, right? So this is a new business challenge. So those of you listening who have a new business and you have a great product, and or service, right? But this episode is probably going to help folks with a product the most. But if you have a product, it's great, it works, you've gotten feedback from people at you said at Boston Hospital, wherever you were,
Yeah,
right?
Boston
Like
Children's.
that's wonderful. So you've got credible folks that are willing to stand behind your product. It sounds like your main issue is really just visibility, Jackie, and consistent sales, right? Just from my opinion and where I'm standing with this. So tell us a few things that you've done, or I like to hear both, right? I like to hear like what have you done that's worked to get those because you have had sales. Sometimes I talk to people and like, I haven't had any sales. I'm like, okay, we got some other things we need to work on then, right? So you have had sales, you've got positive feedback, so that's good. So tell us what has worked and then tell us some things like you said you've done trade shows and stuff like that. Tell us things that you've done that you don't feel worked because we'll really learn from that as well. And I can give additional advice there too.
So, what has worked is the trade shows have actually worked pretty well. I think seeing the product in person, it kind of helps people to understand it more, and I'm explaining it to them in person.
What kind
So,
of
I
shows are
feel
you going to though? What kind of
I like
shows are
health
you
and wellness shows
Okay, so
or
those are B2C shows, like where you actually reach the consumer, or are you going to shows that are B2B where it's someone that might carry your product?
no, just B2C.
So you are in front of the actual consumer. Okay, got it. Okay.
So, that's worked pretty well, and then also just, like, sharing with friends and family and having them, like, if someone's struggling to eat, have them mention Binder Binder or kinda like word of mouth, like, around town and stuff like that, but I think where I'm really struggling is I don't know, I'm not getting any sales from, like, my social media marketing.
Got it. Yep.
Like,
So
I
you've
don't know.
tried social and there's no traction there, but you feel like when you get the product in front of people, they love it, they buy it.
Correct. Yep.
Cool. Cool. This is a very common problem. And so this is why you were perfect to come on the show. So, okay, Jackie. So, a couple things I want to talk to you about. One, I do want to talk about the trade show thing just real quick. A lot of people who listen to the show know I own an event company. So, I come from like 17, 18 years of trade shows. So, in addition to all of these things that I do, I run an event company. What is very challenging about B2C trade shows, you will burn yourself out to death doing those.
Mhm.
And they're also quite costly. So when people ask me if they should do them, I say yes, but it cannot be the number one thing that you do because you will spend all this money to buy a booth, get in front of people, do all of those things. And you're like, okay, I had one great day, but what's next? Right? Like, how do I keep going? Especially with a product like yours, because I think it's a great thing to do, but just keep in mind as you do those, I wouldn't say not do them. I'd be going against trade shows if I said that. I wouldn't do that. But be very strategic about where you go. I like that you went to a health and wellness one. I like if you want to go to like an autism awareness event or something like that. B2C though, where you're in front of the consumer, I think you'd kill it at something like that. Like do really, really well. Especially if you're strategically placed near people that make sense for you, like in the areas of the event. So always partner with the actual event organizer to make sure that happens too. So just a little tip there, so you get that traffic, whoever that is that might be helping with those things. But just be really strategic about the ones you go to because I mean, you can't do a trade show every week. You're a mom, you have 3 kids, all that. It's too much, right? So be very strategic there. It's costly too. I mean, I'm very honest with people about it, right? And it doesn't, the other thing is too, like, if someone purchases that from you, are they going to purchase again? Maybe as you come out with these other products, right? As you come out with more things for them to put in the binder. But I want to see you really thrive in some of these other environments that you were mentioning, right? Friends and family is great. I love that. Again, the Children's Hospital has backed you. That's fabulous. But we really have to get you traction in front of your audience. And your audience is moms. Moms are going to buy this. That's who you have
Mhm.
to get in front of. So you mentioned that you're on social, but you haven't really gained the traction there yet. That's where you're going to gain your traction. I believe that 150% for you. I've talked about this on other episodes too. You guys have heard this from me before, but I am going to talk about this specifically for you, Jackie. So I think your target demo is moms anywhere from, I mean, I don't want to say 16 and pregnant because that's not your target demo. Moms, moms tend to be about 22 to mid 40s, right? That would probably utilize this, maybe up to 50, depending on age, right? So you've got a target demo of probably female 22 to 50. That's your target demo audience. Then when you start to think about where they live, where do these moms hang out? TikTok, which we talked about, and we'll come back to
Yeah.
that in a little bit. That's a huge, I think, underutilized resource for you because when we first looked at your site, as we mentioned before we jumped into the recording, we didn't see your TikTok presence. And TikTok moves at such a rapid pace and it's so great at dialing in your audience. I think you having a presence there, just being home with your kids and shooting videos and having people share and interact and also get to the point where you can go live. I People really underestimate the power of TikTok live and they underestimate the power of connecting. And you understand that power already, Jackie, because what you've shared with us is, when I share it with friends and family, when I shared it at the Children's Hospital, when I share it, you're not afraid to get in front of people at a trade show. Sometimes I have people come on there here, they're like, well, I don't know if well, if you're at a trade show talking to random folks, you're cool with going live. So that's a goal that I would set for yourself, a goal to do that. And sometimes people are uncomfortable with the sales aspect. Again, you're going to a trade show and selling. So I'm going to jump out on a limb here, Jackie, and say you're probably pretty comfortable selling to people. You're getting comfortable.
I'm working on it. I think it's a very hard because I don't want to sell it to someone who doesn't need it, I
So
guess. So I
we're going to work on that right here, right now. Okay. What I want you to think about is I want you to change. I'm not really a big woo woo person, but I do believe in mindset, right? That's a whole other episode. This is what I want you to do, Jackie, for your product. And this may help some of you guys listening to this. I want you to take away, because a lot of founders go through this, especially when you're selling something, but we're all selling something. I want you to stop thinking about selling finder binder. I want you to stop thinking about that. I want you to think about you as a mom 7, 8 years ago when you were banging your head against the wall because you could not get your kids to eat. more than chicken nuggets or more than just mashed potatoes or whatever it was they were just hung up on, or maybe they were throwing that against the wall. I want you to think about that woman 7 years ago, 8 years ago. That's who you're selling to. And you're not selling her their product, you're selling her a solution. You're giving her a solution. So I want you to think about that. How amazing would that have been if 7, 8 years ago, you had a woman open up your door or you just saw her on social media and she was like, "Hey guys, do you have kids that just will not eat anything, or are they going through GI issues, or are they picky eaters, or however you're going to be talking about it on social?" And if you saw that woman talking about her issues and how she solved that problem, wouldn't you buy that product from her?
So quickly.
Right. So that's something I want you to do is I want you to shift it. I want you to shift how you, because oftentimes new founders and people who like know their product is great, they'll spend a lot of time saying like, "This is my product and this is how it works and it's so wonderful." We know it is. You and I know it is, and everybody listening to this episode is probably going, "This is amazing. What a cool idea." But the mom that's ready to tear her hair out because she can't get her kids to eat peas that night or broccoli or whatever it is, she doesn't have the bandwidth to hear all about your product. She wants to hear about how you're solving her problem. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're creating content for Instagram, as you're creating content for TikTok, as you're creating content for Facebook. That has to be the way you think about it versus talking about how great your product is all the time, right? Because we know it's great and they're not going to know it's great unless they use it. So talking about the solution and to a problem is really important. It's kind of like, "Hey, I know you're going through this. I know this is a problem. Here's how I solve it." And that's when the product comes in. Instead of selling in a way where it's like, use my product, and then talking about how it solves the problem. Because that's what feels yucky and salesy to people. That's why people hate to sell.
Yes. That is exactly how I feel about it. So I think shifting that mindset is going to be super helpful.
And it's gonna take work. It's not gonna be, you're not gonna go tonight and feel, well, you might create some content tonight and be like, "Okay, I got it." But then you might feel yourself falling back into, use Finder Binder because it helps it out, like, and then you just have to, because it took me years to get to the point where I talk about a solution versus like the product, or the service. And it takes work. It's like working out, right? Because you're changing how you talk about something. It's also extremely difficult, Jackie, because this is your baby. This is baby number 4 for you, right? Like, you created this, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm extremely passionate about it.
I feel that energy from you. So that's why it's so important to have an outside perspective, but then you have to learn to be the outside perspective too, which is probably one of the hardest jobs as a founder. You have to think like your consumer, not like yourself, which takes you back to the moment where you were a consumer that wanted this versus where you are now, where you already know it works, you know it's fabulous, and you know it's great. Does that help? Does that make sense in how the
Yes.
psyche works with that? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. And it's hard to go back because you're like, "I've solved this problem for 7 years now. Like, I got this." But there's women out there that don't. And there'll be dads. Sorry, I'm being very sexist on this episode. And dads too, right? Out there that could use this. So, but that's your main consumer, right? Because we know women buy at a much, I mean, look, that's just reality. Women buy at a much higher rate than men do. We just know this. Okay. So that's a huge mental shift that I want you to do with this. And it's going to take practice. And one day you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm on top of this." And then you might fall back into your pattern. So just actively be working on that. But in all your social creation, spend time on that. And also, I want you hanging out. We're going to come back to this now, where the moms are. Have you done anything with Facebook? Have you done anything? I know you have a Facebook page, which is great, but have you thought about getting involved in Facebook groups and creating your own group?
So I am in a lot of Facebook groups from like way long ago when I was having this problem. And so I am in there and I do comment on people who are posting, "Oh, I can't get my kids to eat." I was like, "Hey, try this out." Um, but no, I don't have my own Facebook group, but that might be something to.
Yes. Yes. So your step 1 is already done. So in other episodes, if you guys have heard me talk about this, there's kind of steps on how to utilize Facebook. Okay. Especially when your product is a mom product. Like, that's where the moms go. That's why you're a part of the groups, Jackie, right? So
Yeah.
So I love that you've kind of done step one. So I always say join the groups where your customer is. You were the customer, so you're already in a lot of these groups, but I want you to go and I want you to join even more. I want you to join really strategic ones. I want you to join groups where moms are talking about their kids having food aversions, kids have autism and food aversions. Like, I want you to go join those types of groups, okay? With respect to the group, right? If it's a group that allows that, great, right? Be respectful of that. But I want you to go really kind of nuts and join a bunch of these groups. And I want you to continue to do what you're doing, where you're commenting. I also want you to, if you guys know, like in Facebook, when you just write kind of a short blurb, it has like a colored background there. Write something thought provoking in there. Like, hey, moms, do your kids have issues with, food or GI issues? I want you to write and get active in those groups. Watch those moms start commenting on those posts. And you're going to pull them. Step two is you're going to pull them into your group. Okay. Because they're not just going to, this is where a lot of people go wrong. And I did it in many years ago. Okay. A lot of people think by that and then just posting a link, they're going to buy from you. We're missing a whole step. We're missing that trust. We're missing that understanding of who you are. And what we talked about earlier, what solution are you solving? Why are you just throwing a link at me, right? I did it too. I'm guilty, Jackie. Everyone listening to this is guilty too. We've all done it because we know how great our product is, but we need to connect with that mom and solve her problem. Every single mom. So, what I want you to do again, get in those groups, start making those kinds of posts. I love that you're commenting on posts. I would do that as well, but move them into your own group. And I want you to name your group. I don't want you to name it Finder Binder because no one's going to know what that is yet and you already have a page for that, right?
Mhm.
I want you to create a group that is going to identify the problem. So use ChatGPT, write some thoughts down yourself. You're very creative. I mean, you've come up with this Finder Binder. I mean, this is so creative. So you could probably come up with the name. Think back to that woman you were 7 years ago.
Mm.
What Facebook group would you have joined when you were going through all of that with your kids? Make it simple, make it easy, make it findable so people will just start joining it. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
From
I'm
there,
commenting
yes, go for it.
when
Yes.
I'm commenting on things, like, in and I'm joining all these groups, am I joining, like, as Finder Binder, or am I joining as Jackie Jansky?
Join as yourself.
Okay.
Join as yourself. That's what I would do. There's really no right or wrong way to do it, but when I was in early phases of some of my companies, I chose to join as myself. And the reason I did that, and I just kind of put my profile as private so like people really couldn't see my information. The reason I chose to do that is because I wanted that connectivity and it depends on what I'm doing. For you, you could go either way with it, honestly. It's up to you. And why not try both?
Yeah.
Try both and see what lands. But the whole point is so that you're creating relationships and connectivity. You want to start creating that organic marketing rolling ball. And you want to create this group so that you are creating value, so that you can have, 1,000 moms, 5,000 moms. You're creating this whole group so that people start to recognize your Facebook group as a group that solves this problem. And oh, by the way, it's led by the founder of Finder Binder so people can ask you in a safe, closed environment, what does your product do? How is this going to help? How has this helped? Then you'll start to have people in there that buy your product and they can write you the organic testimonials there. It starts to really roll. But I get a lot of people that tell me, well, I'm in all these Facebook groups and, they won't let me post and they won't let me. I'm like, right. That's why you have to create your own community, right? There's only going to be so much that you can do in other communities and you don't want to spam other communities. You want to be really
Mm.
cognizant of that. You want to build your own community, but you also need to, it's a balancing act because you want to be respectful of those communities, but you want to build your own. So it's up to you. And I would kind of play with both, and you have to do what feels comfortable for you. Like I'm out there, so I don't mind that people see my profile and see who I am. But some people want some of that separation, right, between their personal and their business. And that's okay too. But so there's really no right or wrong to it. It just depends on, again, you want to make sure they know who you are though and know that you're a real person and you're not just some company trying to talk to them. You're actually solving their problem. Does that answer your question, Jackie?
Yes. Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Okay, perfect. I think you will see major success using these tools. Again, just changing that perspective and that mindset and how you're doing that. I think I think Facebook is so untapped for you. I think it is just going to be massive for you and getting in front of people. And one thing, and again, your TikToks, start posting your TikToks. What I love about TikTok, I'm such a TikTok junkie. I love it because you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a beautiful picture of you and your kids on vacation, while you're using Finder Binder. It doesn't have to be a perfect image. People want to see real. They want to see you in your kitchen doing this with your kids. Like, and I would challenge you to post one video a day, and you can shoot them all in one day and then just schedule them out through the week so that you're starting to create traction. Then you can start to do lives when you have 1,000 followers. So I think it's something that you can build on, but you are getting comfortable with getting in front of people and selling to people. And this is going to help you get even more comfortable talking about your solution and how your product is the solution and talking about their problem. Because as moms, we want to connect with each other. We want a relationship and we want to feel like when we're buying something, one, I think it's awesome to support another mom, like when they
Mhm.
find that out too. But when they're
Yes.
just seeing your company, right, they might be like, well, who is this, right? Like, who am I supporting? So them getting to know you as a human being as well is going to be really powerful.
What about hashtags on TikTok, and
Yeah.
are
So
they
for me,
important?
yeah, so I'm not a social media expert, right? I am very much like a business strategist. That's where I focus, but from the folks that help me with my social media, it's not as important as it used to be. And I don't know if you've noticed this on Instagram, but you can only do 5 hashtags now. It's not, and there's a reason for that. It's not as important, but it's more strategic, the ones that you are using. And a great resource for this is, looking up accounts that have the same target demo as you. What are they using? What's landing? And then we have this really powerful tool that people really underutilize. Use ChatGPT to tell you. It's not always right, but it's going to save you a ton of time, especially as a mom of 3, to get to the know. I'm more keen to see you create consistent content than worry about what 5 hashtags you're using.
Got it. I love ChatGPT too.
Me too.
We're best
Another thing
friends.
Yeah, another thing I'm a junkie on too. So those are my 2 go-tos. So 2 secrets you got today on this episode. Is that helpful, Jackie, or do you feel like you have some things you can implement going forward today?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have a good path going forward. I have a good idea of where I need to go and where I need to put my time in because, again, my time is still limited even though they're at school all day.
Yeah.
So it's good to know where to put that time.
Yeah. Well, you got mom things to do, right? I mean,
Mhm.
never ending laundry, prepping food, all of that. Now you're running a business. So, I mean, you paying bills. I mean, you got life happening and then rushing the kids around to school. And you got a lot going on, which a lot of moms will connect with you on. And I'm glad this is helpful. And I'm excited to see your socials explode as you keep doing this. And I really do think when you connect with moms in those groups and build your own community, it's going to help you a whole lot too. Jackie, tell everyone where they can follow you on social media and then also your website where they can purchase Finder Binder.
So the website is www.myfinderbinder.com. And all of the socials, except apparently TikTok, are linked there. But I will put TikTok on there too.
Perfect. Perfect. And we'll put it in the show notes as well. And Jackie, thanks so much for sharing Finder Binder with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your great insight.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you guys so much for listening to My Opinion. Don't forget to follow us and tune in for the next episode. And also check out myopinion.com for additional resources or to connect with me directly.